Hello, I'm back with a new review, and it's been a little longer since the last one because I've been recovering from a rather nasty cold. But, I've recovered, I'm back, I've got a new review out, and I've actually got a request for the album I'm going to be doing today by Mr. Kieran52 from RateYourMusic.com. Hello, Kieran. And he's asked me to review Choirs of the Eye by Kayo, which is a choice I was very pleased about because it's pretty much my favourite album of the 21st century. I can't think of many albums which top it, apart from possibly, I don't know, Francis and Mute by Mars Volta or East by Joanna Newsom, but, even those don't even come close. The music of Kayo, I suppose you could describe it as avant-garde metal, but that doesn't come close to summing it up. I suppose you could call it Godspeed You Black Emperor meets Neurosis meets something else entirely. The way it's composed seems to have a lot more in common with classical music. I mean, on the back of the booklet, which I've got here with me, looking at it now, there's a compositional map of the last song on the album, The Antique, and Toby Driver definitely has an interesting way of writing stuff out. I mean, it's not like written out as notes on a score. It's more in the style of avant-garde composers, modern classical composers. I've yet to hear an album like it, but I think it would definitely appeal to fans of Godspeed, well, post-rock in general, really. It's got a lot of those big crescendos and quiet parts, and there are a lot of people playing on the album, obviously. There's, let me count now, 8 musicians on this album, and according to the back of the CD, one person who's there solely for photography. But unlike, say, Godspeed You Black Emperor or Mono, or, Mono's a pretty close point of comparison here, because obviously they've got a heavy part. But yeah, Kayo doesn't really feel quite like those bands, even though it's got the same dynamics going on, the same, big, epic feel. It still feels a bit more intimate. I mean, you can definitely tell that, these are 8 people in a room just making music. It's got very much a chamber music feel. You'll notice a slight pause in the recording now. I think my cat wants to be let out. Okay, it turns out a cat didn't want to be let out at all, just wanted to walk about a bit, disrupting my review annoyingly. And I've completely lost my train of thought, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the man behind Kayo, Toby Driver. You may have heard of him from a band called Maudlin of the Well. I'm sure if you actually sat here listening to this review, you probably have, because Kayo are basically a continuation of Maudlin of the Well. About half the band left in about 2001, and Toby Driver felt they weren't really the same band anymore, and I suppose you wanted to take it in a way more complex direction. The music of Maudlin of the Well was a lot more song-based, even though it was still very progressive and very difficult to get into. But the music of Kayo is, well, it consists of movements rather than songs. All the songs here are over 10 minutes long. Well, all of them except one, A Picture of Summer, which is pretty much the closest thing to a song here we have, and they're all divided up into movements. Well, or musically rather than anything written down in the booklet. And just to give you a little taste of what Kayo are all about, I'm going to play you a little excerpt from possibly the best track on the album, and therefore one of the best tracks of all time, The Manifold Curiosity. There you go, one of the greatest moments in music there, easily up there with anything from Lift Your Skinny Fists, Like Antennas to Heaven, in my opinion. Loved that song, been one of my favourites since I got the album about a year ago now. But to play you just a little bit of it is almost meaningless, to be honest, because, well, a song's nearly 15 minutes long after all, and that was just a minute of it. It goes through so many different changes from there. I mean, it started off with an acoustic part, which you heard a little bit of there. It's gone to that kind of post-rock part, and then from there, the music just gets louder and heavier as it goes on. Towards the end, it's actually bordering on black metal. But, take it for what it's worth. I hope that prompts you to go out and hear more. Love that. It's a classic song, one of my top 5 of all time, easily. Pretty much every song on there is almost as good, though. I mean, the middle 3 acts of this 5-track album are all absolutely incredible. Those 3 tracks being A Picture of Summer, The Manifold Curiosity, and Wayfarer. I'll make a particular mention to Wayfarer because it's almost as good as A Manifold Curiosity. I mean, the only thing from holding it back is it's a little bit too short. It's only about 10 minutes long. The album itself, however, is certainly not too short. It's about 55 minutes long, which I think is the perfect length for something like this. I mean, if it went on for, any album, as great as it is, if it goes on for more than an hour, you're usually going to start checking your watch, wondering when it's going to end. But yeah, it's perfectly paced. Pretty much everything about the record is perfect, in fact. The production, the sound is great. Scott Hull from Pig Destroyer actually mastered the album, and he did an absolutely great job on it. The cover art, it's done by Sardic Records, John Zorn's record label, so, it has to fit a very specific theme. But Toby Driver himself actually drew it, and, I think it shows he's a really talented artist, even though it took me a while to figure out what it actually was. The musicianship is all great, even though there's nothing very showy here. There's a guitar solo on Wayfarer, and I think that's about it. It would be I suppose it would be nice to hear a little bit more piano there. It's a personal favourite instrument of mine. I love the sound of it, but we only really get to hear it for about 4 minutes at the end of the Antique. Shall I play you a bit of that now? I think I will. This is the closing section of the Antique, and actually a closing section of the whole album. So, it shows you how diverse this album is, because this is pretty much a complete opposite of the section of The Manifold Curiosity I played you. Okay, that's pretty much all we have time for. I want to try and fit the video under 10 minutes. I don't know if I'll have actually managed to do that or not. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this as much as I've enjoyed making it, because, well, it's one of my favourite albums. I just love talking about it and love the sound of my own voice. If you did like it, be sure to leave a positive comment, rate it highly. Hopefully we won't get any of those angry Deathspell Amiga fans I've heard so much about. But yeah, if you did like what you heard, get the album. It's fairly easy to get hold of, I think. And keep giving me suggestions for what else you want me to review. I'm still taking those in. But I've already decided what I'm going to do for my next review, and the only clue I'm going to give you, it's something that's pretty much the complete opposite of this. I hope you've discovered something new today, and this is me signing out.